My name is Jim Tolles, and I'd like to welcome you to this video in which you will watch and learn how to play the violin. The terms violin and fiddle refer to the same instrument. The fundamentals you will learn in this video will enable you to play in many styles, including classical, bluegrass, country, and rock and roll, regardless of whether you call it a violin or a fiddle. All the information you need to follow this course will be presented on screen. If you would like the companion book, Violin Primer, which contains a 60-minute cassette tape, consult your local music store or get in touch with us. If you are more interested in fiddling, the Fiddle Primer, which also has a 60-minute cassette tape, is available. In order to play the violin, we must accomplish 6 objectives. Take your violin and bow to your local music store to make sure they are in proper working order. See that the strings are in good condition and that the bow has enough hair and works properly. Also have them tune it for you. There are 2 other items which will prove very helpful. Get a shoulder rest that looks like this. There are several kinds on the market, and you may need to experiment some, but I recommend one like this. Have fine tuners installed on the tailpiece. These are a necessity if you have steel strings on your violin. If you are playing on nylon strings, only one fine tuner is required for the E or first string. Tighten the bow before you play. Violinists and fiddlers play with widely varying bow tension. Turn the screw clockwise so that the bow hair comes away from the stick, but not so much that you lose the curve of the bow. When you finish playing, loosen the bow so that when you tap the stick, the bow hair just begins to flop. This is correct. Violinists and fiddlers play with different amounts of rosin also. Tighten the bow before rosining. Draw the bow back and forth against the rosin. I like to press hard and use short strokes. When you feel you have enough, use long strokes to distribute the rosin. If the bow just barely makes a sound on the strings, you need more rosin. If clouds of rosin come flying off as you play, you have too much rosin. Now we'll tune the violin. You should tune the instrument at the start of every practice session. The wooden friction pegs are used to make large changes in pitch. The fine tuners make smaller changes. Bow the D or 3rd string. If it is a long way out of tune, pluck it and turn the friction peg. Then bow the string and simultaneously turn the fine tuner by reaching underneath the violin until you hear a note that matches this one. This is what it looks like from above. The 2nd string is an A string. Bow the A string and tune to this note. The 1st string is an E string. Follow the same procedure to match this pitch. The 4th string is tuned to a G. Tune to this note. I recommend that you purchase an electronic tuner as soon as possible. They're about $30 to $50 and will enable you to tune very easily. You can play the violin standing or sitting. Standing helps many folks get the feel of the instrument, and you avoid the problem of the bow hitting your leg while seated, so I'll stand during this video. Put the violin under your chin and over your left collarbone. You should be able to support the violin without using your left hand. The chin rest is really a jawbone rest. Turn your head so it's about halfway between straight ahead, like this, and straight down the violin like this. Here is the correct position. The violin should be at a 30-degree angle to the left arm. The violin should be roughly parallel to the floor, not tilted up or down. This is too high, and this would be too low. Again, here is the correct position. The violin should have an easy slope towards the floor. Here is the correct angle. By standing in front of a mirror, you can check your playing position with the video. Let's check out your left hand to make sure you're holding the violin properly. Take that V that your thumb and forefinger make and close it up so that the neck of the violin makes contact with your thumb just above the first joint and the side of your hand on that bump where your forefinger joins on. This will create a small space below the neck. Don't let the neck of the violin fall into this space. When you play, you will turn your hand to a position more nearly parallel to the neck, from here to here. The left elbow should be pulled underneath the violin, not out to the side. This is correct. This will enable the fingers to get up over the fingerboard in their proper position. Put the violin down so that you have both hands free to learn how to hold the bow. We are going to follow 3 steps. Form a backward C with the thumb and middle 2 fingers of the right hand, bending the joint of the thumb as closely as possible to a right angle. Now press the tip of your thumb into the middle joint of your middle and ring fingers. These are the primary points of contact. Holding the bow with your left hand, grasp the bow near the frog on the thumb leather. The index finger goes on at the first joint about 3/4 of an inch up the bow. The pinky is arched and touches at the tip. At this point, you may notice that your fingers are at right angles to the stick. Turn them so that they are at about a 45-degree angle. This bow grip may seem awkward, so allow some time for the muscles in your hand to strengthen and stretch. Now pick up the violin and put it under your chin. The bow must be at right angles to the strings at all times. It can be difficult to look down at the bow and strings and tell just when you have a right angle. Here's an easy solution. Stand in front of a mirror, turn your body so that the neck of the violin is parallel to the mirror. Then turn your head in the chin rest and look in the mirror, and it will be possible to make small corrections quite easily. We're going to start by bowing open strings. An open string means one that is not being pressed down by a finger of the left hand. We're going to bow the 3rd string. The bow should strike the strings halfway between the bridge and the end of the fingerboard. If you err slightly towards the fingerboard. The bow should travel across the strings at a right angle, not slanted in either direction. The action of the arm, if held stiffly, will cause the bow to move like this. So you must use the shoulder, elbow, and wrist to make it go straight. Use plenty of fluid wrist action. When your right hand approaches the strings, your wrist should be bent upward. As it moves away, the wrist should bend downwards. The right elbow should be no higher than the bow. This will vary depending on which string you are bowing. Now we are ready to start bowing open strings. First, check your bow grip. Place the hair of the bow on the 3rd string near the frog. Draw the bow out to the tip to a count of 4 and back to a count of 4 without stopping. This is a down bow and this is an up bow. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There should be as little break in sound as possible between the down bow and the up bow. Try not to let the bow slow down at the end of the stroke. Connect one note to another. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, Compare yourself to the video to make sure you are doing this correctly. You should also practice this in front of a mirror to make sure that you are using the proper technique. As we go from string to string, we must change the bow angle. The angle of the bow is critical to avoid hitting adjacent strings. Drop the angle of the bow down to play the second string, then play the same 4-count exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Drop the bow angle further for the first string. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring the bow all the way back up for the fourth string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, we'll bow down and up to a count of 2. Put the bow on the third string just below the middle, draw it out to within a few inches of the tip, and back to where you started. Count 1, 2 for the down bow, and 3, 4 for the up bow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the second string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The first string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the fourth string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now for short bow strokes. Place the bow on the third string just above the middle and draw it out about 5 or 6 inches and back again without stopping. One count for each bow stroke. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the second string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The first string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And last, the fourth string again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are two primary factors that contribute to good tone and bowing on the violin: bow speed and bow pressure. Practice varying these two factors to get a pleasing tone. Too slow with too much pressure produces the horrible grinding sound. Too fast makes a breathy, indistinct sound. Too close to the bridge makes a whistling sound. This is correct. Now let's review the 6 objectives we just covered. First, take your instrument to your local music store to make sure it is in proper playing condition, that it has a good strings, a shoulder rest, and that your bow is in good shape. Second, tune the violin. Third, hold the fiddle correctly. Make sure it is parallel to the floor and at the proper angle to your left arm and slightly tilted. Fourth, make sure your left elbow is in the proper position. Use the V shape with your left hand to hold the neck of the violin. Especially, check to see that your left wrist is in the proper position. Fifth, check your right hand to make sure you are holding the bow properly. Sixth, bow the strings using long, even strokes. Make sure your wrist moves properly, your elbow is in the right position, and that your bow touches the strings between the bridge and the fingerboard. Use a mirror to review these techniques when you first get started so that you learn proper technique and don't develop bad habits. I also want to mention some tips for using this video. You should work your way through the video. Don't watch it from start to finish. Watch a section of the video, then rewind the tape and watch it again until you understand it completely. Play along with the video to make sure you are performing each section correctly. If you want more help, there are additional diagrams in the violin primer or fiddle primer books. As we begin to use the fingers of the left hand, I'll explain how to read music. These 5 horizontal lines are called the staff. At the extreme left of music written for violin, you will see the treble clef. Notes may be written on the lines or in spaces in between the lines. Higher pitches are written on physically higher positions on the staff. Lower notes on lower positions. The notes of our common major scale alternate space, line, etc. The pitch sounded by bowing the open 3rd string is D. Its location is in the space below the bottom line of the staff. This will be the first note of our scale. The next note in the scale is E, found on the bottom line. With your index finger, press down on the 3rd string about 1 1/8 inches from the nut. Put the bow on the 3rd string a little closer to the frog than the middle. Bow down on the open D string, then up, playing E with your index finger like this. What you are doing is playing the 1st and 2nd notes of a D major scale. Do, re, bow down and up, making small adjustments until you can match this pitch, neither too high or too low. You might well ask, how long shall these notes sound? Let's introduce rhythm or meter right here. Reading left to right, the staff has bar lines every so often. The spaces between these lines are called bars or measures. Within each measure, there is always the same number of pulses or beats. The time signature at the left tells us how many beats per measure. In the example here, we'll use 4/4 time. The top number tells us how many beats per measure. What about the bottom number? That tells us what kind of note receives 1 beat. In this case, the 4 on the bottom indicates a quarter note. A quarter note looks like this. It has a solid head and a stem and receives, as I mentioned, 1 beat. We'll also need to know half notes. They have open heads and stems and receive 2 beats. On screen, you see 2 measures that we will repeat many times. First, D played for a half note, 2 beats, on the down bow, then E, a half note on the up bow for a total of 4 beats. I'll play the first measure and you play the second measure. We'll call these answer backs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Answer 2, 3, 4. 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 Good. The goal of this exercise is to learn just where that note is, both with your ears and its location on the fingerboard. Rewind the video and answer back many times. Make sure you are in tune with the video and match the pitch exactly. It will take some practice. Next, we'll learn the F-sharp note. It's played with the 2nd finger about another inch or so up the fingerboard from the 1st finger. What we are doing then is constructing the distance from the 1st note to the 3rd note of a major scale. Do, mi. Its location on the staff is in the bottom space. We'll put the sharp in the key signature on the left-hand side of the staff, indicating that all Fs, including the one in the bottom space, are sharp. I'll play as before and leave space for you to answer back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Answer 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Answer 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Answer 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Answer 2, 3, 4. If your F sharp is too high, or sharp as we say, or too low or flat, don't stop the bow. Continue to play smoothly and make a correction up or down on the next answer back. Now I'm going to give you another set of answer backs that should make it even easier to find these notes. This exercise will include A, the open 2nd string, and its location on the staff is in the next to bottom space. Bow the open D, then E with your index finger, then the open A, then back to the E with your index finger. This will give you 2 points of reference for pitch, the D and A strings, and 2 opportunities to make those little corrections. Check your bow grip, and we're off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Answer 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the same with the second finger on F sharp. First open D, then F sharp. Open A, the second string, and back to F sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Answer now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This section of the video could well prove invaluable to you as your ear improves. What may have sounded in tune the first few days might seem questionable as your ear gets a better idea of just where these notes are. This is all a normal part of improvement. Let's walk up the fingerboard using our three notes, D, E, and F sharp. Open D, first finger, second finger. Do, re, mi. Do, re, mi. Answer, re, mi. Answer, re, mi. Answer, re, mi. We're just about ready to play our first tune. As we look at the music, we see that there are only notes that we already know, and that some are quarter notes and some are half notes. Let's try the first measure. One beat of the open D string, then E with the first finger for one beat, then F sharp with the second finger for two beats. Ready, play. Then a measure with the same notes again. Ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the next measures, we see a row of quarter notes that move down and up. Practice this measure. Ready, play. And last, a measure with two half notes on the open D string. Ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4. Playing small parts, especially the difficult or unfamiliar parts, helps ensure success when you finally dive in to play the whole piece. And here it is. Yeah. Ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Frequently, it helps beginners to play pieces they know, songs they can hear in their head or can sing. Our next piece is Mary Had a Little Lamb, a song virtually everyone is familiar with. As you look at the music, you see that there are only notes we already know, D, E, F sharp, and A. The time values are either quarter notes or half notes until the last bar, which has a whole note, open head, no stem, and receives 4 beats. Still, this is a much longer piece than the exercises and songs that we've done up to now. So we're going to divide it into smaller pieces or phrases lasting 2 measures each. We'll start with the first 2 bars. Locate the F sharp with your second finger using the methods from the previous exercises and then begin. I'll play it again. Rewind the video and play these two-measure phrases many times. Then look at the next phrase. It should sound like this. Again. Work it up note by note or measure by measure if necessary. If you have difficulty with any new material, you basically have two options. Play a smaller piece of it, or play it slower, or some combination of the two. After you get the second phrase sounding better, put the two together. I'll play these two so that you can hear how they should sound together. Let's move on to the third phrase. It's almost exactly the same as the first phrase except for the last two beats. In the first phrase, the last two beats were the F sharp played as a half note for 2 beats. In the third phrase here, there are 2 quarter notes, both F sharps. Here is the third phrase. Now our last phrase, E, E, F sharp, and E, and finally D for a whole note for 4 beats. Fleece was white as snow. Now you could play the third and fourth phrases back to back, or even the second and third phrases together. I'll leave that up to you. Here's the whole piece, all 4 phrases. Mary had a little lamb. We're ready to learn 2 new notes, G and A. The first is G. It's located on the next to bottom line. It's played with the 3rd finger, but instead of being another inch or so up the fingerboard, it's right next to the 2nd finger. On most people's hands, the 2nd and 3rd fingers will touch, or very nearly touch. Let's walk up to this note using the notes we already know, D, E, F sharp, then G. Play this exercise so that it sounds like this. If it sounds like a piece of a scale, you're right, that's exactly what it is. Do, re, mi, fa, and coming back down. Fa, mi, re, do. And we can use our old friend, the 2-string answer backs, to help us locate our new note. I'll do 4, leaving room for you to answer as before. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's add the open A string to our row of notes, D, E, F sharp, and G, to play the first 5 notes of a major scale, both up and down. Hey, this is getting exciting now. We've got 5 notes in a row. Now here comes the 6th. It's B, the note played with the first finger on the A string, the second string. It's as far up the A string as E was up the D string. Its location on the staff is on the middle line. Let's do some answer backs, A to B in half notes. Answer 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. At this point, we've got enough notes to play the alphabet song. Let's work it up in 2-bar segments. The open D string for 2/4 notes, the open A for 2/4, our new B note for 2/4, and the A again for a half note, 2 beats. The next 2 bars start on a G and go right down the scale. Make sure you start with a nice in-tune G. Use the old exercises to locate this G and then play. Now, if you like, you could play the first 4 measures. Moving on now, let's play the 5th and 6th measures. Start on open A and go right down the scale. Good. And life gets easier because once you get those 2 measures sounding well, you'll notice that the next 2 measures are simply a repeat. Now I'll play everything we have so far, the first 8 measures. Close examination will reveal that the last 4 measures are identical to the first 4 measures. Now here's the whole tune. 1, 2, ready, play. One more time, a little faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to mention some tips for organizing your practice sessions because the most important part of learning to play the violin is to develop good practice habits. You're going to have patience because playing the violin requires you to train your hands to do things they have never done before. To give yourself a fair chance at playing the violin, commit yourself to practicing every day for at least 2 months. Practice at least 30 minutes a day and try to set up a routine so that you practice at the same time every day and get in the habit of practicing. Most important of all, relax. The reason you're doing this is to have fun, so if you get frustrated, take a break and come back to it later. For our next song, we're going to learn a new bowing technique. It's called slurring, or playing 2 or more notes on a bow stroke. Here's an example. What I just did was to draw the bow on the downstroke for 2 beats, 1 beat of D, then finger the E note with my index finger for 1 beat, all without stopping the bow. Then I came back on the up bow on open D for the 3rd beat, and continuing on the up bow, played E with my index fingers. Here's what it looks like written out. You see the curved line connecting the D to the E. That's the slur. In violin music, it means to play all the notes connected by that line on either 1 up bow or 1 down bow. Let's get started on this with just 2 notes per bow, and we'll do it in the form of answer backs. I'll play 4 beats, you play 4 beats. Answer, 2, 3, 4. Answer, 2, 3, 4. Answer, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll probably feel a little awkward, like patting your head and rubbing your stomach, because you're not used to changing notes with the left hand as you change bow directions. Just practice slowly until you get more comfortable with it. There are other possibilities with slurring, and we'll do them all in answer backs. First, notes going down, in this case, F sharp to E. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another possibility could be slurring notes that are further apart than 2 adjacent notes in the scale. Here, E to G, 1st finger to 3rd finger. Here comes the now familiar answer back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Answer, 2, 3, 4. Answer, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And last, before we play our song, the possibility of going from one string to another, all on the same bow stroke. Here, A to G. Open A to G with the 3rd finger on the D string. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to demonstrate our song in 2-bar phrases. First 2. There you saw me slur the F sharp to the E. Now the next 2 with the 2 slurs as written. The next 2 measures with the bow crossing the strings. And now the last 2 measures with 2 pairs of slurred notes back to back. Play each section many times. Keep the bow moving smoothly as you change notes with the left hand. Now, here's Go Tell Aunt Rhody. Ready, play. Now we'll speed it up just a little bit. Ready, play. Let's learn two more notes. They'll be C sharp and D on the A string. On the staff, C sharp is found on the next to top space, and the key signature tells us that it's sharp, and D is the next to top line. They are played with the second and third fingers of the left hand respectively. C sharp is an inch or so above the B with the second finger. D is located just above the C sharp with the third finger touching or nearly touching the second finger. The distance between notes on the second string follows the same pattern as the distance between notes on the third string. Let's accustom ourselves to these new notes with some answer backs. First, A to C sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And A to D. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here are some two-string answer backs using the open first or E string. The note sounded by the first string is found on the top space. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, A, D, E, D. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 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 Do plenty of listening to the video because you are as much training your ears to hear how high or low these notes are as you are training your fingers to find the exact location. In this sense, you can't play what you can't hear, so listen carefully and intently. We now have enough notes to complete a D major scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and back down. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Here it is in medium speed half notes. I'll play it for you. In general, practice scales slowly for intonation or pitch. As you get more accurate, you can begin to speed them up. remember, if you play very fast, you won't be able to tell if you are in tune or not. To build your sense of tonality, also play arpeggios. An arpeggio is a chord, only with the notes sounded one at a time. Our D arpeggio will have D, F sharp, A, and high D, both ascending and descending. It should sound like this. To play the next song, we'll need some new rhythmic concepts. First, 3/4 time. If you recall, the top number in the time signature indicates the number of beats per measure, in this case, 3. The quarter note receives 1 beat, as shown by the bottom number. 3/4 feels very different than 4/4. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, it counts as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Notes that receive 3 beats are dotted half notes and look like this. The principle here is that a dot placed after a note increases its time value by half. 2 beats increases to 3. In written music, rests indicate that you sound no note for a given duration. Here's a half rest or 2-beat rest. Let's practice playing in 4-bar segments like this. Next 4. The third 4-bar segment. And the last 4. Now here's the whole song, Sunday Waltz. 1, 2, 3. Once again, we'll speed it up just a little bit. 1, 2, 3. This concludes all the material in this video. As we mentioned earlier, we're trying to start the beginning student out correctly with proper technique, regardless of the style of music you're playing. Make sure you're comfortable with all the material in this video. We also recommend that you review all the material in this video with an experienced teacher who can correct any mistakes you are making and provide direction for the future. The companion book to this video, The Violin Primer, which contains a 60-minute audio cassette, is also available. If you want to concentrate on fiddling, the Fiddle Primer book is also available. Consult your local music store or contact us. One, two, three, 4. Ready, play. 1, 2, 3. Ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, ready, play. Ready, play. One, two, three.